You're listening to the Brilliant Breakthroughs Podcast, episode number 52 with Maggie, Mongan.
Hi, small business owners. Welcome to the Brilliant Breakthroughs Podcast, where we focus on creating brilliant breakthroughs for the small business owner. FYI, this is also the name of the #1 Amazon best-selling book for small business and entrepreneurship. The good news is you can find this book in paperback and e-form too. Just so you know which one is on Amazon, Brilliant Breakthroughs for the Small Business Owner, fresh perspectives on profitability, people, productivity, and finding peace in your business. If you're listening to this after November 2018, this episode is referencing the Blue Book. It's the first book in the annual series. Hey, rock stars! My name is Nancy Lucchese of Unleashed Mobile Apps. I'm your podcast host today. You can learn more about me at unleashedmobileapps.com. Today, we are honored to have Maggie Mongan, #1 Amazon best-selling author and anthology leader of this fine book, with us to talk to you today about your business's profitability performance being supported via some unconventional wisdom sharing that delivers unconventional results and why she does what she does. Welcome, Maggie.
Why? The big why.
Big why today, Maggie.
Yeah, thanks. I'm so glad we're here. We're going to have some fun.
We are. Now, just so that the listeners know, Maggie's chapter is the first one, and it's titled Simplify Small Business Success in the 21st Century. So that should be a good read. Okay, I've read it already. I'm telling you, you need to read this one. So, Maggie, you offer some great information in the book's introduction and the first chapter for struggling small business owners or those who want to grow their business into the next level. Maybe it's a good idea for our listeners to understand and learn why it is important to their businesses for their success. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's play.
Okay, so before we get into your why,
Okay.
I really think the business owners need to know, what do you do?
Yeah. Okay. That's a great place to start with the what.
Yeah.
What I do is, wow. That's loaded. Okay. So I'm a master business coach and a trainer. And what I do is I help small businesses, and specifically the small business owner that's growth focused and seriously committed to growing their business. And what I do is I help them simplify their strategies and align their actions so they can build a profitable and a peaceful business. If you run into folks that they have really strong, profitable business, but they're living a life of chaos?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Or just the opposite. We have the small business owner who's in the land of Om and they're getting all their stuff repossessed.
Yeah, I have a clear image of that as well, yes.
Okay, well, there's a way that you can balance the two. And that's a secret that a lot of people haven't figured out, unfortunately, but that's something that I specialize in helping my clients do. So if somebody is in a startup mode, or they're in a cleanup, or maybe they want to own their marketplace, I help them figure out how to do that. I guide them through those steps, and I help them do it in a good business way that's pretty simplified. That's my game.
Nice. I think small business owners forget that they need to navigate through how to make their business successful and peaceful at the same time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and it's a real challenge that we all deal with. And the other thing that I know about all small business owners is that they have a very powerful why they do what they do. If they don't have that, they really don't have a lot of fuel. So
Right.
I'm guessing that you have a why.
Or two.
Can you share that with us?
Or two.
Okay, we'll let you have 2 whys today.
Okay. Okay, because my first why is a chronological issue. And it was that I was in corporate America. I was at the top of my game. I was the nation's go-to as an executive recruiter for what I specialized in. And I had a health issue come up, which required me to not be able to perform my job very well. It was a hormonal imbalance, and it ended up with a surgery. So I had mental fog, all that stuff that we hear about. You know, I was lethargic. I couldn't function, is really what it comes down to. And when I went through my recovery process and came back, I didn't have the same mojo that I had.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was weird. And I was just like, oh man. And I had really reached the summit of what my career was in that industry. You know, the nation's go-to, that's a pretty significant status, right?
Correct.
And I resigned my position because I just didn't have it anymore.
Yeah.
I was the red fish in the blue ocean.
Did you feel unbalanced?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was a hot mess. I'll just say it. I was a hot mess.
Yeah.
And I resigned my position, and I love this company, great training, great support, great culture. There's nothing I can say that's terrible about this organization. And I remember walking up to the owner on my last day, and he said, "So what are you going to do now?" And I said, "Well, I'm going to help the little guys, small business, have the same competitive advantage that the big guys, corporate, get, but at a fraction of the cost." And he said, "Wow, if you can figure that out, you'll be a millionaire."
Well, I think you figured it out in some respects. It sounds like a real Phoenix moment that you had there.
It was a big aha for me to realize this is really good stuff that I know and I've learned over the years. I specialized in finding change agents. And it took me a while to realize that I was so good at it because I was one myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was just like, oh, duh. But it took me like 10 years after I was in my own business to see that.
Yeah. A lot of good teachers have walked the walk.
Right. So that's part of what I do. I help people bring that change in. So that's one part of my why, the chronological.
Okay, so we've got that. We know it was health issue. We know that fueled you to make a change, and that's really what happens when something happens to us. It forces us to make a change and to take a good hard look at our life and the direction. So that's a pretty powerful why by itself. But it sounds to me like you're coupling that with a second why. So go ahead, share that.
Yeah, the industry, the small business sector why. Okay, so I had a personal and this is the professional. The small business sector why comes to the fact that I was seeing a lot of good people struggling and working way too hard and long hours trying to find it out. And oh my gosh, it was just terrible. And I was one of those. You know, I started at the turn of the century figuring out my business, and there wasn't a lot of information out there like there is today. You know, the internet was still not what it is. And good, bad, or indifferent, I was struggling. I wasn't part of the good old boys club, so I was different.
That's a reality check right by itself, all by itself, isn't it?
Yeah, you need to find a good community to be with.
Yeah.
And they didn't exist at that point like they do now.
Mm-hmm.
Today we have a slightly different issue going on where there's a lot of what I call unexperts, capital U, capital N, unexperts. And I talk about that in our book. And I explain what an unexpert is. But I'll give an example and everyone will get it right away. Have we ever heard about the online guy who says, in 30 days, you can make $1 million? Just
oh, yeah.
This. Yeah. Oh, you happen to know that too?
Oh, I do.
Okay. Well, I call those folks unexperts Because is it possible? Yes. Is it likely? No.
Right.
and and yet they're hoping that you believe that it is likely, and it is very possible. The probability is yours for the taking. One of the things that I know that a lot of small business owners and entrepreneurs who are in the marketplace today don't know is I've been doing this for 15 years. So I've seen people come, I've seen people go. I've seen people reinvent themselves. I've seen people evolve themselves. And I too have gone ahead and evolved and revamped what I have going on. But what we don't hear is the people that say 30 days, $1 million, all yours, sign here, are folks that oftentimes have launched many businesses and failed and closed them and then relaunched and closed. And this is like their sixth or seventh business that they finally found the one thing that was missing and nailed it. And that's how they got their, 5.62 million in 60 days.
Yeah. Yeah. Everything happened to line up for that person on that day in that specific time.
Right. So there's this really different environment in small business because of the online factor now. Tech is great, but this is where it sort of lets us down as small business owners. There's a lot of brilliant small business owners out there, and they have brilliant ideas. I mean, truly brilliant ideas. They're experts at what they do, but they don't understand business. And why should they? That's not their expertise.
Mm-hmm.
If they did, they'd be doing what I do.
Right. Yeah. And basically what we do is we say, do what you do best, and then, hire the rest. But really, what's really happening in small business?
Okay. Well, there's a big problem out there. Let's see. How do I want to say this best? Everybody's told that they can be millionaires, right? Or everybody's either positioned for a millionaire or the six-figure income, one or the other. That's how the marketplace is teaching us to think. And people are told that they can be that, so they work really hard, but they still aren't accomplishing it. And with that, they become very frustrated. They feel like they're losing the game. And do you know any small business owners like that?
Oh my gosh, I deal with them every day.
Okay.
Every day. And these are great people with a wonderful vision. It just, they kind of don't have the right direction and support.
Oh, you just led right into it. Okay, so they're spending too much time and money on things that they shouldn't be, and they're not spending it where they should. And it's to no fault of their own.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because we have to remember they aren't experts at business. They don't know which resources need investing in for their particular type of business. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense. Perfect sense. Yes.
Okay. Yeah,
I've been there. I get that. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you've had multiple businesses yourself, so you know firsthand what I'm talking about.
Right. And you try to pull the good stuff and come forward, but you get to a point where you're not quite sure. So there's a lot of people out there calling themselves coaches. They're calling them, business coaches. And I gotta say, so I'm saying it lightly if I say you're a bit different. You're a bit different. So with that in mind, how do you help the small business person?
Well, one of the ways that I help them is I help them understand that all businesses have different needs, that there's no silver bullet for for all businesses. And that's something that a lot of the unexperts are telling you is, you do this one thing and you'll have it all. But what they don't understand is when they're buying into that, they're setting themselves up for frustration.
Mm-hmm.
Because some of those unexperts are making millions of dollars off of keeping their customers, other small business owners, in mediocrity. And there's a real rub that's happening out there of the unexperts know that small business owners don't know what they don't know.
Right. They're capitalizing on it. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I was trying not to say that.
I can see it. It's all good.
These are in one aspect, they're my peers, and another they aren't because I do things very differently. So what I do is I help my clients learn how to build strong business through the science and the art of learning what small business really is.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and if they can do that, if they can learn about the science, which is, the basics to business,
Mm-hmm.
they can make better and more profitable decisions for their business. And I'm not finding a lot of business coaches or trainers or whatever we want to say, advisors, mentors out there that are teaching their clients how to strategize, how to think, so they don't have to keep coming back to them.
Yeah, I've noticed that there's some coaches that are just all about the numbers. It's a numbers game. It's a numbers game. Instead of really digging down and getting to the emotion of the customer and what your actual customer wants. I know personally, we've done some revamping with our business where I look at it kind of like a mouse maze. And we were bumping into a wall, making a turn, then we'd have to back up and try again. And eventually, through that trial and error and really narrowing down and getting to the focus of it, we were able to rise and be able to narrow our market down to what we want to deal with, what's our message, getting a clear view. I know I work with business coaches because they're that important to be able to help you see what you can't see and hear what you're not hearing. And it's really been powerful. And ever since we've gotten focused, things are opening up left and right for us in an authentic way. It's not some magic pill. It's not quickly done. It's taken, mine almost 2 years to really navigate through and to not get frustrated at the time, to take those back steps as a learning method and say, okay, now where do we need to go from here? And a coach has helped me do that, honestly. It's been a good experience.
Well, yeah, and what you're talking about isn't so unique because you're not just gaining traction now, you're in true growth. And 2 years, that's where you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
And you're there because you learned how not to go ahead and be caught in the reactionary mode, the tactics of, we can do this, we can do this, we can do this. Instead, you have your coach, which is what I do. I help my clients move to what's going to be winning strategies and tactics and sustaining the business so that the business can support the business owner. And that's right where you're at, right?
Right. And I tell you, because of it, we're finding peace in the business. Where in the beginning, we were finding a lot of frustration. And it took education on our part to be able to really discern what we needed to do here. And then to get laser focused and really just focusing in on that one thing that's going to work for us instead of every new thing. The squirrel mode. In the beginning, we were in
shiny object syndrome.
Yeah, we were definitely in that, without a doubt.
So, and it's not uncommon.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to ask another question here because of, we're on that subject, who should engage with you? I mean, is it everybody or do you have a focus?
I do have a focus. The people that want to work with me, I'll put it that way. and that's a very different twist.
That is.
The people who want to work with me are people that want their business to work for them instead of them working for their business.
There you go.
Okay, that's huge, because when I work with a client, I pull them from being busy to being strategical. It's all about right thoughts and right actions. And by slowing down, one of my quotes that's even in the book is slow down to accelerate. When we slow down a little bit and we look at where we want to go, how we want this business to support us, then we start making very different decisions in our investments, and that's time, talent, and treasure. And until we have that moment, we're just doing nothing but reacting to everything around us and finding ourselves caught up in what I call the busyness trap, where we're busy, working our tails off, and we're not getting the traction that we need to grow. So
Sounds like you have a job.
Yes. Geez. Now you're jumping ahead of what I want to say.
Yeah. Too bad. Well, and I'm also going to use a little golf analogy here.
Okay.
Yeah, for those people who play golf, you'll understand this. That when you aren't hitting the ball right, the first thing your instructor will say is slow your swing down. And the logic behind that is the slower your hands go through the ball, the faster the head of the club goes. So it's out there a long way, and it'll come through and it'll drive the ball further. So by you slowing down, you will ultimately end up driving further.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. I did not know. Yeah, and there's a different way of how to show up to be successful in this century versus last century. And a lot of small business owners are still trying to implement last century's techniques, and they're not successful. And a good example of that is like when you meet somebody, if I said, hey, Nancy, I'll buy your socks if you buy my shoes.
Right.
That's like so last century.
Yep.
Okay, instead of getting to know, because what if we got to know each other and we really liked each other and we believed in each other's products, we would be selling tons of shoes and socks versus just one pair, right? And that's just a simple way of saying there's a different way of doing business. And the other point that I don't think a lot of people are talking about out in the marketplace right now is every business is unique. There are standards. That's why I say the science and the art of business. But businesses are requiring unique strategies and tactics. And if you understand what your particular business needs for who you choose to serve and how you choose to serve them, you begin to understand your business very differently, and you get clarity, so you're making better decisions in real time. And I think that's one of the big disconnects that's happening today in small business is there's a gap in understanding what it truly takes to make a successful business happen. And oversimplified, I'd say that's a gap of expectations and deliverables. You know, people need to show up every day. If you're not working on your sales, generating revenue, marketing, supporting your customers, you're not going to be making those six figures or the millions that you think you want to make because you're not showing up that way.
Right. That makes a lot of sense to me, a lot of sense. And I do agree that it's shifted the way that people do business now because the customers are actually demanding to be treated on a different level. They want to be educated. They want information. They want to make decisions themselves and not be told what they need to have. In fact, it's often said that when you are sharing information and educating your customer, you become the expert and people want to work with you versus just telling them what they need. Then now you're the salesperson and they'll go to the next one because there's so many people that do what we do, and the general public has a choice. They definitely do. So with that, what's the gain your customers get from working with you?
Well, just what you said. The first thing we do is we learn business because they're not experts in business. And what that does is it helps them lead their business. And small business owners, I'm going to tell you, if you don't understand that you need to lead your business, it's not going to go anywhere. It needs a leader. You need to be a business leader because if you aren't a business leader of your business, making good decisions, what's going to happen is you're going to end up working for another business leader, and most likely that's called a job.
Yep. And that actually goes true for solopreneurs as well, because I think solopreneurs feel that they're the only one in the job, so they don't need to be that leadership, but they forget about their support team that isn't necessarily employees, that they need to be that leadership role.
Right. And I talk about that in my chapter on how to manage an external team. You know, you may not have staff in-house, but you have other people that help you build your business and support your business. So you're right on with that. You need to be a leader of your business, and you need to figure it out. The quickest way to figure it out, you ready for this?
Drum roll.
Hire an expert guide to guide you.
There you go.
Okay.
There
But
you
I'm
go.
going to say why. And I, you know, this goes back to the why. And why you want to hire an expert guide to guide you is it'll shave years off of your learning curve. That's one big reason.
Yeah, I concur with that. Yes.
There's another reason.
Oh,
And
you have your two reasons.
there's two. Because small business owners don't understand that they're losing revenue every month they're not making it.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, oh, you know, if I made a little this, okay, that's good. And incremental improvement is great. However, if you hired a guide, you could stop losing potential revenue. In business, that's called lost opportunity of revenue. And miracles happen when you have your revenue go up, because then you can afford to have the resources to grow your business the way you need to. And it's a threshold thing. And there's, depending upon where you are, whether you're a startup or you're in growth mode or you want to lead the marketplace, you have different requirements, and they involve money. If you have revenue coming in because you've been working with an expert, you're going to be able to capture more revenue sooner than later. So you're minimizing your lost opportunity. So what I'd like to say is small business owners, just, you know, and entrepreneurs, some people call themselves one or the other, get an expert on your team that understands the intricacies of business, comprehensively business. And they understand how each part connects to the next part. Your business model is a great place to start. Most people don't even understand the power of selecting a business model, because that starts to simplify everything. So once you have this expert on your team, they can help you build a path to your business's destination and milestones and all. And they can help you do it much more quickly and effectively than you ever could by yourself.
Yep. It's an investment. And if you think of it as an investment, I think that's an important factor, because then you don't realize what you're losing by not doing it.
Right.
So,
those lost opportunities.
right.
You create a mess that you're going to have to pay somebody to clean up. So you might as well not make the mess in the first place. You're going to have an enormous amount of pain, and you're going to lose revenue.
And you don't have to. You don't have to lose it.
Okay. And let it be known, Nancy is not a client of mine.
No. But I believe in coaches.
Right.
But I'm not a client. But yes.
So you don't have to spend all your time trying to figure it out. You can just bring somebody aboard that already knows and can help you minimize the train wreck that might be coming down the tracks, but you don't know it yet.
Yep. And I'm going to throw this in here. When it comes to a business coach, pick somebody you resonate with, somebody whose vision is aligned with your own. Yes. Because there's so many out there, and we talked about that before, that there's a plethora of business coaches out there. But, you know, you got to do a gut check and make sure that everybody's on the same page. And then, wow, your business is going to explode, absolutely explode. So what's the best way for people to get in contact with you?
The best way, thank you, Nancy. The best way is through our app, Brilliant Biz Book. And there's a place that you can find my name, Maggie Mongan. It's there. Nancy's going to explain that in a little bit, so I'm not going to steal her thunder. The other place is you can go to my website, brilliantbreakthroughs.com. And remember how I said there's times that you grow and you revamp your business?
Yes.
Well, I'm in the middle of one of those right now. So my site looks very archaic because it's in the middle of a revamp for the next couple of months. So if you're listening to this in real time, hang tight. Hang tight. By the holidays of 2018, it'll look the way it's supposed to look. But we're building out a lot of stuff behind the scenes to support what the new needs are now that the book is a #1 best-selling book series for small business and entrepreneurs. Isn't that cool?
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's it.
Fantastic. And I like that you're changing right along with everything. And that's what we talked about all day today, was about change and how to grow in the 21st century. So
hold on. I want to share one important thing because I know you're going to wrap us up here. In order for me to do that, I'm working with coaches.
Very good. Very good. Yes. Thank you for sharing that point, because I think people think coaches are the ones that know it all, and they don't realize that everybody needs a coach.
I don't know it all.
Nope.
But I know people who do.
Exactly. I know what I'm good at, and I get support for the rest. So that's fabulous. So, hey, listeners, this is how you learn more and engage with the #1 best-selling author, Maggie Mongan. Start by reading Chapter 1 in the book, Brilliant Breakthroughs for the Small Business Owner. Now, that's the blue book. And your gift, Business Performance, is accepting the invitation to simplify your small business success. Maggie is offering you on her author's page at the end of the chapter, so take advantage of that. Plus, there's all sorts of handles on there and different social media sites for you to connect with Maggie. And here's something that's really cool. Right now, you can see everything about the book and how to get a hold of it and Maggie by going to the Books app, Brilliant Biz Book. That's all capital B's and with no spaces. And of course, there's an app for our book. It's absolutely fabulous. So if you want to actually reach out to Maggie within the app, just click on the expert to Ask the Expert tab. You'll see Maggie's name there and her smiling face. And then all you have to do is click on it, type your question, it'll go straight to Maggie, and she will respond to you. Now, how's that for a bonus? So thanks for your time and wisdom sharing today, Maggie.
Oh, my pleasure.
And listeners, we appreciate you listening to the Brilliant Breakthroughs podcast, where you learn how to create more brilliant breakthroughs for your small business. Shine brightly until next week.